I'm TJ Donegan with Review.com, and we're here today with the Leica Q. So the Leica Q is Leica's new full-frame point-and-shoot. It's a new line for them. It's a fixed lens camera. So you may know Leica cameras as being sort of interchangeable lenses. They have their traditional rangefinders they've had for a long time. This is basically a regular old point-and-shoot. Except it's not really regular. The reason it stands out is it is very expensive. This cost $4,250. While I love this camera, and I'm gonna explain why in a minute, that's an obscene amount of money for most people, so from a value perspective, it's not really on the table. Price aside, what makes this camera special is two things. Really, the first is the sensor inside of it. It has a full-frame 35mm digital sensor. So the most expensive DSLRs from Nikon and Canon that professionals use, that's the same kind of sensor you're gonna find in here. And after testing it, we found that this is a camera that's capable of taking images that are just as good as what you would get with a pro-level DSLR. One of the reasons for that is the exceptional lens too. Because this is fixed, they've been able to make an autofocus system, and they've actually been able to make one of the best fixed lenses I've ever seen on a point and shoot. It's a 28mm f1.7 lens, so it's great in low light. It's quite a bit wider than what your eyes would normally see, so it's great for landscapes, great for some street shooting. It also focuses very close, so you can do some funky portraits. You can do some macro work, so you can get really close to stuff if you want. And the highlight of the lens, one, it's extremely sharp. In our testing, it proved to be one of the sharpest lenses we've seen, which means it gets a lot of really fine detail. The bokeh, basically the out of focus areas behind your subject or in front of your subject, look amazing. They look as good as any really good portrait lens, which for a lens that is relatively wide angle is exceptional. You just don't see that very often. More than anything, the reason why you would pay the money for this kind of a camera is it's so well built. It's milled from a single block of aluminum, according to Leica. Basically, that just sort of indicates the kind of craftsmanship we're talking about here. Every inch, every dial, every button, every little thing is done to the nth degree. So for example, on the lens itself, you have this focus ring. It's as fluid as using any old school manual focus film lens. It's incredible. In addition to that, it's got some really neat touches. Like there's a focus scale on here, and when you go from regular mode to macro mode, when you want to shoot close-ups, the focus scale on the lens actually shifts with it. It's just a neat little touch that really sells the fact that this is a premium camera for hobbyists who really take their photography seriously. People who already own an M-series Leica who want a second camera. And since Leica cameras in general are very expensive, those are kind of the people that would probably consider buying something like this. But if you have the money and you're very interested, it's definitely a camera that will reward your purchase.